Let me try that again. All right. Thank you for picking that up for me. I'm hoping you can hear me now. I should have done the sound check before I started. So um, I'm going to kick that off right again. We haven't gone too far. Excellent. Perfect. All right. Very good. All right. Well, welcome to our class integration as part of our Smarter SMSF Integrations Week, where we take a look and highlight many of the integrations that we have across our Smarter SMSF platform. And we are, most importantly, an agnostic platform when it comes to our integrations. We work with all of the major software providers, BGL, Class, and Supermate in this respect, and therefore it provides us with an opportunity to showcase each of those particular features. And today we drill into that class integration. So what we're going to cover, we're going to really go through a few slides, but really want to focus on the practical elements here for you. So we'll talk a bit about our platform, why people choose us, and in particular where Class has their own software platform and document platform. Yeah, we do have a number of large and well-accredited specialist firms that actually choose us over, the Class products that are potentially available there. And then, as I mentioned, we'll go into far more practical elements of this today for you. We'll look at how you can connect to your software, how you can then order documents, why some documents might be better through our platform than maybe within the Class software themselves. And you can kind of do that analysis and assessment yourself around what some of those differences look like. We'll also spend a bit of time looking at the different features, and we'll show you that the integration that we have is a two-way integration. So we're not only getting data down, we're actually also, in certain instances, we can push data back. And a lot of that comes with the quality of the API that we can work with our software providers. So as always, if there are things that can be improved on, or you've got ideas, there is a great opportunity to not only be going back to the software providers themselves, but with us also going back to them and having conversations about opening up additional endpoints. Well, it makes it a better experience for you as well. And we'll talk a little bit about at the end where we're heading in terms of our own platform and how that translates to and with the integration with Class. So Smarter SMSF, many of you will know of us, the fact that we do specialize in SMSFs only. So it's that depth of knowledge that we have within our industry that we can then roll out not only in terms of our documents, but also across our education and technical support. We do predominantly work with business to business. So we deal with accountants, advisors, and other professional lawyers and stuff within the industry. Our clients are very broad, but what we do find over time is that those that have a real specialization or specialist focus within their business, so they're either a specialist in their own right, so they have a standalone business, or they have a specialist division within their organization, those are the ones that tend to get attracted to us. And a lot of that is because of the depth of content that we have rather than potentially the breadth of documents. So we know what we're good at. We focus on SMSF, and therefore you won't see us sort of rolling into other areas that don't relate to SMSF, employment law and non-SMSF sort of documents there. Most importantly though, two key things. We own all of our document IP. So we know when we look at some of our competitors in the marketplace that they enter into arrangements with third-party providers, and that does provide some fairly significant third-party risks if those arrangements don't really pan out as they may have, and we have seen that on many occasions actually occur. So when my business partner, who has now retired in Glenister, who wrote the SMSF deed and has worked on a lot of the documents that we have inside our Smarter SMSF platform, we took over and purchased in essence the IP, so it sat and sits within the Smarter SMSF business. And therefore, from a succession point of view within Smarter SMSF, we have now got Hill Legal there. So Chris Hill, who we've worked with for the best part of 7 or 8 years now as well. So anytime that we need those documents to be reviewed, prepared where relevant, we have accredited Australian legal practitioners that are undertaking that and reviewing it under a formal appointment. And that's where we have seen this year also the rollout of our Smarter Legal Review service that enables you to obtain that legal sign-off on documents where you see fit, whether it's in respect to a trust deed upgrade you want to do, or a change of trustee, binding death benefit nomination, or you have rectification-based issues that you might need where a document may not have been executed correctly, or a procedure not followed, so on and so forth. So we do, as I said before, focus on the depth of documents. So we have sort of 80 plus available on the platform, all SMSF related. So the fact that you can sort of dip into areas that others might not have the capability to do so, whether it's in pensions or death benefits, changes of trustee due to incapacity, all those sorts of things that we see each and every day within the SMSF sector. We're building out these to enable you to take what is quite complex, but work you through a series of questions to get the outcomes that you want to actually do. It's quite interesting because we actually have a number of class clients that actually have a subscription with Now Infinity. And they go, well, the reason why we actually have the subscription with you as well is because they just don't have the depth of documents with some of these other things that we do actually see throughout the year. So they might have a subscription on one side, and they might do the deeds and other things there, or companies, because the corporate message is being used, et cetera, et cetera. But it's then all these other specialist documents that they know they come across, and therefore they might need 25 or 50 documents a year through Smarter SMSF. And that's where we have both subscriptions available to use, but also the fact that individuals can come in and order these things on a pay-as-you-go basis yourself. So we do have a strong focus on automation, and it comes and is overlaid, I guess, on the technical capability that sits within the business. So we have that specialization that I keep talking to, but then want to overlay the automation that enables you to do things efficiently and effectively, save time, save your money. And then where you have the overlays of legal support or other technical support, those things are available for you as well. We have all of our platform and documents and so forth are all hosted and stored via Amazon Web Services that you can see there. And we're going to go through in a second some of these different things for you to help understand what is available. So we have a full users or orders console, so you can see the detail about the subscription. You can manage the permissions around the staff that you want to have under that subscription. You can check some of the order details. So processes now within organizations that we're seeing whereby an administration staff or even offshore team member might be able to go in and prepare documents to an extent, but then the manager needs to be able to pick that up and then review and then submit that order. All that stuff is now available under what we call our sort of parent-child structure there. As I said, under pay-as-you-go, you do have the ability to make payments on all sort of major credit cards there, and this site is naturally secured with SSL certificates as part of the process. There is a three-step part to the way in which you order. So when you order a document, you will get a confirmation email around the order. You'll also get the details of the order sent through to you. And then subject to the complexity of that document, within a few minutes, up to maybe 4 or 5 minutes, you'll then get that document delivered to you. Okay, and subject to what document it is, then under the actions tab within the completed orders area, you then may be able to undertake different actions that go from there as well. You do also, under our saved orders area, have the ability to pick up that order again and then continue on with it. And equally under membership, if you actually make a mistake, say in a pension document, or you have the wrong address or something like that, you can reset that order and make amendments to those things. That reset functionality is pretty much available on most documents, other than, of course, the companies, which requires some additional paperwork to be done with the reporting to ASIC. We also include tooltips across forms to help you understand different aspects of it. We've got a full knowledge base around the ability to look at how the integrations can be set up, how you can order documents, you can view sample documents and so forth. And finally, we are starting to roll out some AI to assist you in that document ordering process as well. And each and every year, as we sort of jump across into the platform, we do go through an annual security assessment. So the ATO have their operational framework for class as part of the digital services providers. And therefore, we are required to go through a process, fairly comprehensive process, penetration testing and the like, each and every year. So what we have, obviously this is our existing platform. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I'm going to move us across into our new platform, because one of the key differences here is that under our existing platform, we had the ability to look at and connect with your various integrations here. And then once you had connected here, you would then obviously see the ones that are available and order from there. Now, the significant change that is now available, and you can go into documents and then create new beta here, and that will bring you across into the new platform. So I'm in here already, so I've just taken myself across here for the sake of time. What you will see, and this is the substantial difference, and I'll just go into our trust deed upgrade form, is that our integrations of all softwares now sit at the top of the form. Okay, so you have the ability to connect from here. You'll see the ability to connect, and I'll go through that shortly, but that is a substantial change on the new platform that we now have available to you here. As I said before, you do have things like tooltips as you work through these. So if it asks you whether you're using the Smarter SMSF deed, in some instances, if you say yes, it will automatically populate that rule there for you. If it's not, then of course you need to reference that in this deed upgrade. Some instances, such as a pension commencement, we might enable that to be generic for you if you're not sure, but in a lot of instances, we like to do that as well. We've got things like QROPS. We do a lot of work in that space. So we have different deeds for variations and different deeds in establishments. Simple yes or no there will enable that QROPS to occur there. And then, as we said before, you've got your saved orders function area here. So any document that you want to, as you're working through, you can save that to here and then come back and action it. And then equally under the completed orders page, you have the ability to not only view the document that you get emailed to you, but you then have the ability to utilize a range of different actions that you can see here. So one, you download the document that gets sent to you electronically. So these are a range of tests and stuff that I'm doing for the 1 July changes. You have the ability to reset those orders, so move it back to the saved orders area. Got some document storage things. And then within class, you have the ability, for example, to do the one-click send to class as part of that process. So automatically setting that up. Not going to go through that today, because what we're going to talk about that in our fund establishment one on Thursday, how that works. And finally, we have our doc flows. So the fact that you can take this as a process and move it from one particular function to another function. And again, we'll talk about that a bit more on Friday as well. Now, the other aspect that I wanted to say here is that under the subscriptions, we do then have our user console. So I did talk about this before, where you can manage the subscription and all the users that you actually have under the subscription. So this is where we control our document subscription, our CPD subscriptions, our support subscriptions for technical support. But most importantly, we have the ability to bring in the different users that have access to the subscription. So in this instance, we've got 5 different staff members here that would have access to the Smarter SMSF subscription in this case. And we're setting permissions in here as to whether, as a parent, they can see all of the orders of all of the staff, or under a child, they don't in essence have access to this area and they can only ever see the orders that they are utilizing themselves. We're still doing a bit of work around the ability to add and remove users and consolidate users. So if you've got a team member that may be leaving, we do that sort of process manually at this stage, but you'll be able to consolidate that in the future back to a particular parent, for example. And the most important aspect that we see a lot of people utilizing now is this functionality of accessing, as the parent, the saved or completed orders of the various team members. So if I'm doing a particular order, and I'll use a pension, for example, and you've got a team member that's doing that work, and you don't want them to be submitting that order, you want to actually review that prior to that document being generated, well, you can go into the particular team member here as a parent, and you can pick that order up, pick up the link, and then enable yourself to go and review that particular order. I'm not going to actually do that. I might open it in a new tab. So you can go in and review, pick up that order, review the information, and then submit that particular order yourself. Okay, so there's a number of things that enable us to basically pick up and run with the order that's been done. Equally, we then have the ability to go in and pick up any work that has been done by a particular team member. So if they're not around, that's been completed, you want to review it from there, you can go in, you can click on the actual link, and then you'll be able to see the document that is being prepared in that instance as well. And you can see here in this one, it's picked up the relevant information on that one that I was talking about earlier from the saved order to be able to do that. So this is an area that we're spending a lot of time on at the moment. I know it's not directly related to the class integration, but in this instance, it's of significance because it's more about workflow and how that work gets done. And therefore, you're coming back into here to see maybe the work that has been done using that class integration so far. So let's move on now, and I might just quickly jump back to our slides. So getting started. So what do we need to do to get underway? So the first thing is once you've logged in, either as a subscriber or pay-as-you-go basis, you've got the ability to get your login and your credentials. So as I said, it's then all about connecting your class software. And we have on our existing platform, as I said, the integrations area to do that. But importantly, under the new platform, you now simply have that navigation sitting at the top of the screen. Okay, so once you go in and do that, then it will enable you to select the fund and then go in and get the data that you actually need. If you haven't signed up before and you're signing up for the first time, you will get that welcome email. As I said, it will give you all of the information around your login credentials, and it will set you up with the relevant permissions, either under a pay-as-you-go basis. So therefore, there'll be a credit card required to make payment at the end prior to submitting the order. If you are as a member, you will be provided with the relevant tags on your profile that will, in essence, remove any payment conditions unless you're ordering a company that has ASIC integration fees and that sort of stuff. But in essence, it will deduct off the relevant counter that is sitting under your document subscription. So if you had a document subscription of 100, you went in and you ordered that pension document, for example, you wouldn't have a payment that sits at the bottom, but effectively it will deduct one off the counter. So you've now got 99 left in your subscription. And as you go along, if you've got any problems and so forth, we have a full dedicated ticketing support system. So you can email us at smartersmsf.com, or you can log a ticket via the platform to enable you to have one of our relevant team members come back to you with the issue that you may have around the document itself, a question about when you're ordering, et cetera, et cetera. So just before we jump into the platform, I just wanted to sort of share with you what we can do or what we have done around the integration. So when it comes to things like our new SMSF, where you're putting all of the information into the company, into the new fund, into the ABN TFN, that sort of thing, well, what you have the capability to then do from the Actions tab in the completed orders page, as I showed you before, is send that data to class. So fund name, establishment date, deed provider and date, fund trustee member details, and you can also send that document, those documents to the documents area within the class platform as well. When it then comes to all the other documents that we have the integrations with, it's all predominantly about getting data. Okay, so getting the data out to enable us to prepare a particular order form, a trust deed upgrade, a pension document, an investment strategy, all these sorts of things. Okay, so that's the most important thing. So when we look at it from a workflow, and this is one area we're spending a lot of time on within our platform, it's saying how can we integrate with our software providers, but use a workflow to move from document to document to document. So we're not going to get into a process within our platform where we're going to combine forms together, like we might see in Now Infinity, we might see in other providers. What we're going to do though is we're going to create a doc flow. So the data that you have in a form is not going to have to be rekeyed again. So a company, you'll be able to order, you'll be able to pick up that company information and move it to the new SMSF form, and all of that form information has been mapped into the new SMSF form, so you're not having to rekey stuff about the trustee, the members, and so on and so forth. You then have that ability to push that across the class. Again, you have an action that will enable you to do the ABN TFN as part of that approach. And once that's done, you'll then be able to push that ABN and TFN information back into class as well. There are a number of other areas that we're working on around these doc flows. We've requests around our pension reboots, so commutations or rollbacks and repurchases, things like changes of trustees with a new company and a deed upgrade is another one. Adding LRBAs into this fund establishment process, where we'd have a second company, an LRBA, and maybe a related party LRBA loan facility agreement. They're all things that are part and parcel of this doc flows as well. So let's get stuck into the demo and go back into the software and really show you that integration process. So I'm going to go to shut some of these down. So I'm going to, let's have a look at our pension commencement. Okay, so this is one of our most common documents that we have utilized on our Smarter SMSF platform because of the technical depth that sits behind this. So what you can see here is the first thing we want to be able to do is connect to our class software. So we have in here the need to log in. Obviously, I need my phone in front of me because I'll need my multi-factor authentication here to do. So 985520. Remember me for 24 hours. Verify the code. Pick it firm. So if you have multiple businesses on here, we're developing out the ability to do a lot of that push to class, not only at brand level, which we have, but then at business level as well. So you can now see this has gone green, and you've got your integrations down here as well. So if you're not on a particular page, but you want to check whether it's connected or not, the green will do that there. If you need to reset it, you can then reset that button and it will basically put it back to red. So we're using traffic lights there to assist. So what you can then do is you can go down and you can pick your relevant fund in here. So trying to think of one that I can actually do here. What's a good fund I can... we should have thought about this one earlier. Thought I did have a test fund in here somewhere that I could use. All right, let me. So what you can see in here is that it then allows us, once we choose the fund at a particular fund level, it then allows you to choose the information that is set up in class already as well. So the first instance here, you will need to decide or you need to set up, I should say, the information inside the class software. Okay, so all of that information, and rather than generating the reports out of class, what you're doing is then you're generating the reports out of here. So in this instance, I'll choose the member, and then what we're doing is we're grabbing all of that information here in respect to that particular member that we have via the API to enable us to populate that pension commencement form. So it's going to give us things like our name, our address. It's going to give us details of the trustees of the fund. It's going to give us all of that information and, in essence, enable us to populate the form all the way through to trustee details, trustee 1, trustee 2, as you can see there. That's interesting. Why hasn't that bit worked? Got our individuals. So you can see the address. You can always, what you can also do is if you need to do an updated address, you can naturally type that information in here as well. So you can pick that up, and then that can be utilized in a drop menu below as you work through. So it's going to be really annoying. Apologies. I don't know why that hasn't happened. All right, I'm going to go back. Apologies for that. And I'm going to check this with a deed upgrade. So I'll just do that same fund. I'll have to dig up and find out what happened there, but that it's not going to let me go any further, unfortunately, which is why I had to sort of turn that off to double check. But again, you can see in here the fact that you can see the relevant address, that's automatically populated and validated, that you can see there. In this instance, if we wanted to choose an other address, it would allow us to put that information in here as well. So we could put an address there and enable us as we work through to put all that additional information if we wanted to as well in here as well. So if we wanted to make that change, we've got an integration in here around all the addresses to enable us to do that as well. So what we have in this form here is then the fact that we've dragged in all of the different information around establishment dates. We've dragged in information about addresses, about trustee information, and then it comes back to questions that we either do know or we don't know. Okay, so in this instance, we don't know whether it's for QOPs or not. We look at the tooltip and then we would need to complete that information. If we have variations and we've got that variation information sitting in class, so again, this is as good as the information that your SMSF, you have in your SMSF software, then it will bring through this information in respect to that particular fund. So your deed amendment history will come in if you have that deed amendment history inside your class software. If you are using the Smarter SMSF deed, as we touched on before, it will include that relevant clause. So in here, I'm just going to say no. We have our individual information in here in terms of obviously all members acting as trustees. We have our relevant chairperson here. If there are additional parties, so again, needing to go back to the deed. So if we have things like founder, principal employee, employer sponsor, it will ensure that those parties are added into the relevant signing pages of the deed. So you can see in here, it'll ask how many people, who are they, so on and so forth. And then the last thing we have here is the ability to request that Smarter legal review. So if you're looking for a deed upgrade to have review, well, you can go through and do that. Won't talk about that today, just for the sake of time. And again, if you want to put a particular date in to populate the deed, you can do so. Otherwise, you can leave that blank and have the trustees execute that at a future point in time when the documents are being signed. So that's the process in terms of how that information pulls through. You then can see here, there's a review of that information on the screen here that enables you to check and make sure it's all working. You will get an email that prints this version and sends it to you. The other thing to note here is that the order information, because I have a subscription, in essence, it bypasses payment. If you are ordering this on a pay-as-you-go basis, it will insert the price there, the PAYG price, and you will be required to make payment via the credit card that will appear here as well. So I can then simply place that order. It will deduct an amount off my counter. And effectively, once that's done, it will send me an email confirming. And then once that document has been ordered, it will then send that document through as well as it going to the completed orders page too. So what I might just do, what's another one here I can have a quick look at for you? Maybe the investment strategy. So again, in a similar guise, we have the information that will pull that data through. We can still see we're connected at this point in time. So it enables us to choose the relevant fund again. We can then, if we want to, then generate the relevant documents off the back of that particular form. So it's a fairly straightforward process that you can see here. And again, it will pull down whatever relevant data that we get via the API. So there's no real rocket science to it ultimately, but it's a lot about just making sure the mapping's working as expected, filling out the relevant fields, and then you completing the rest of the document to enable that to be submitted. So you can see in this one here, if I just close that, it's now in a period of processing. In the email, you'll get those 2 emails originally to say, yes, it's on its way. And 2, here's the actual order itself. Here's the confirmation page that I showed you just before. And then within a few minutes, we'll then get that email that will confirm that the document has been delivered. You can refresh the page at any point in time to see that that order has been done or not, but the email will in essence be the trigger that you need to be able to access that for you. So that's probably the main things that I wanted to share with there. If you've got questions as you work through particular things, like for example, resetting the integration, we do have our knowledge base in here. So our knowledge base that you can see here takes you into our knowledge base that allows you to look up, it might be around the trust deed itself. So you want to see a copy of the current deed or even a change log of what changes have been made in the deed. And then you can go and actually look at a sample document of the pension documents, the investment strategies, and that sort of stuff. So you've got access to that information in here. You can look at it by categories and see what things we have available in there as well. So this knowledge base is a great area and resource for you to utilize if you've got any questions. If you can't find things, again, you can access the ticketing system through here, but you can also email us at support@smartersmsf.com. So whether you're on our existing platform that we're decommissioning shortly, you can see all this stuff in here that sort of talks you through those. You've got the ability to ask the questions, and that'll go through to the ticketing support. And again, it'll get triaged accordingly internally. So you've got different ways in which you can contact us if you have any questions or issues that you need to get resolved along the way as well. So let's move back to our slides. So I guess from my point of view, a couple of things like why Smarter? And ultimately, it comes back to the fact that we're building something that we know sits at and specializes within the SMSF sector. We're very clear on what we want to, where we're taking our platform, the type of firms that we want to be working with. And it's interesting that over the last couple of years, it's become really clear on the way in which we see firms sort of align to what we do at Smarter SMSF. So one is that in the general practitioner space, there's a lot of, well, am I actually doing this correctly? So it's not about so much the integrations and yes, I use Class or I use another software. It's all about, I've got this situation. Can you hold my hand and take me through it? And it's that specialization that helps people to confidently work through issues that they might not see each and every day. On the other end of the spectrum, we then see administrators and high specialist firms with much higher volumes of orders. And what they're focused on is, well, how well are these documents drafted to the way in which we understand the law? So there's a lot of due diligence that goes on in respect to that. And then what happens is it's all about, well, we want to then make sure, because of high volume, we have a consistent experience each and every time. So the fact that we then can connect our software, order the documents, generate, move on is crucial to those sort of larger administrator specialist firms with much higher volumes. And the fact that there can be some sort of workflow inside of that organization as and when required, in particular, as we're starting to see more people in a globalized space. So you might have offshore teams and you want to utilize some sort of controls around, what documents are being done and how they're generating them and making sure that they're being done correctly as well. And as I said, it's that level of support that sits there to be able to work through those issues with you as well. We know we're not a public listed company. We come up against other public listed companies, but we are all about, and these are in our values, about being in the know and being nimble. So the fact that we take feedback on, we can make those changes, we can make enhancements, we can improve those things to make your experience better and continuing to evolve. And that's one area that we see as to why people come to us with their documents and the document subscriptions that we have available. And it's that depth of knowledge that I spoke about before that's really sets us apart in my view. So we're all about depth, the fact that it's not just the deed. There are documents that sit around that deed, and therefore why our pensions connect to our deed and why we have things like our lost deed or the ability to add or remove reversionary beneficiaries. Our education helps you to understand why these things are important. And then we have our documents there to ensure that you implement accordingly and successfully and can monetize that with the SMSF client advice work or implementation work that you need to do as well. So we have a broad range of subscription packages. So we have our PAYG pricing that you saw on the site before, but our document subscriptions start at just $25 over a 12-month period and go all the way through to fully customizable solutions where we've got firms that are on 500, 750, potentially even 1,000 documents a year. So we do find that people are a bit unsure of, well, how many do I actually need? Yeah, sure, you might have 100 clients or you might think you need 100, but you're not sure that you will. So we do see some people go, well, maybe I'll just take a 50 pack. And then you have that flexibility throughout the year to top up as you go. And that's a very common thing that I know David talks regularly to people about. Now, as part of Integrations Week and with our end of financial year, we are providing an offer around getting an extra month free in that subscription. So you can see the coupon code there, and it is available until the end of this week. And most importantly, for any new subscriptions, the advantage of getting that done this week is that we do have price rises for all new subscriptions after the 1st of July this year. So if you've got any questions about all that, you can get in contact with David. You can see both the email and the telephone number on the screen. Now, in terms of what's ahead, we've got a lot more that's naturally being done around our new document platform, including a range of extra areas around client lists. So again, rather than having to integrate each and every time in the form, we'll have a syncing page that will in essence enable you to cross-reference the data that you have with one or all of your clients. So keeping that data live within the platform and then fast tracking the order forms by mapping to that client list page. So something that's in development at the moment. We'll be rolling that out during the upcoming quarter. The business level API for the class integration is another area of key focus at the moment. We've got a number of clients requesting that. So it is a big priority at the moment for us as part of the integrations page on our new platform. The enhanced subscription admin functionality. So we showed you that user console, orders console there. Again, more work being done in there. Expanding on our Smarter Legal Review, which is growing in terms of the number of inquiries we have to be able to support the documents and amendments and so forth that are needed, or reviews. Updating or adding to the different 2A integrations that we have with Class, in particular around deed updates and changes to trustees. Again, subject to where the API allows us to go in terms of either getting data or posting data. Our automated deed service, which is really enabling you to keep up to date automatically with the current deed at Smarter SMSF. And again, our doc flows, so moving that data from one form to the other, and grouping of those forms, and potentially, pushing that between different team members to do that as well. And we're going to spend, again, more time on that in our fund establishment session on Friday, because that's one area that we've done, Thursday, I should say. That's one area we've done a lot of work in at this stage, and we want to, I guess, showcase that side of things in our upcoming fund establishment webinar as well. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me today for the Class integration. Hopefully we've shown you and highlighted to you some of the work that we've done, both in the context of our new platform, but naturally a lot of that is available already in our existing platform as well. If you do have any other questions about today's session, or even with the sessions that we have coming up for the rest of this week, feel free to get in contact with us, and make sure you regularly visit our events page on the Smarter SMSF site. We are working through the calendar for the remaining 6 months of the year, and we'll be putting that up in the next few days. That'll also include a number of these sort of product demo sessions, including a Smarter Legal Week that we'll be doing at the end of July. So thank you to everyone joining me for today's session. I hope you have a great rest of the week. You get through to 30 June. Speak soon, and bye for now.